Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. What's up guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I'm not an expert, do your own research. I haven't done a video in a while, so just decided, I don't know, randomly, let's check out the markets. Been trading, been, making money, losing money, like the same old crypto process. Hopefully everybody's been good. I know it's been rough for everyone. A lot of people lost a lot of money, but looks like short-term relief. I don't know if it's going to be sustained or not, but let's just take a look. This is Bitcoin USD on the daily. Let's take a look quickly at the weekly chart first. As you can see, last week closed really ugly, which is a shame because the week before closed really nicely. On February 24th, in a lot of ways, it reminded me of this close in August of 2024, where you had a long wick, but the close was very solid. And that all got undone with the following week, where price pretty much retraced all the gains and, everyone was fucked. So, from a market structure perspective, when you look at Bitcoin on the weekly chart, you have a clear low here, and you can set it, even before that last weekly close, where price never closed below that level. It never closed below this 90K level, and even though we chopped around on it a lot, price was still holding above it. So as long as price is above that key low, I think that everybody was okay. Everybody was thinking, okay, we're still chopping around, still consolidating, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of similar to that consolidation period that we had back in the summer, spring summer of 2024, where price had, some of these lows, and again, there were some lows that got cleared out. There were some weekly closes below this wick set in April. Especially in August, I remember people thinking things are really fucked. Things are really over. And, we had that strong bullish close. And that was actually the bottom of the market temporarily in August, is where, we had that long wick, closed well, and then, up only since that time. Alternatively here, this 90K level, it's really the same level that everybody's looking at right now. And obviously that's kind of I'll show you another chart here in a sec, but this 90K level is what I'm trying to say, is this 90K level is pretty important in my opinion. And when you saw price close like that and the way it did, we are in a bearish market structure in my opinion. I don't see how you can really call this bullish as of right now on the weekly. I can't think of any other charts that really closed like this, that really had a quick reversal and was just okay. If you look at some of these other charts in the past, you can maybe make an argument that we are in the May of 2021 period, where you had two strong weekly down candles followed by a period of consolidation. And this is actually when the market totally shifted as well in terms of the altcoin, how they moved and what have you. And then we pumped to all-time highs thereafter, after a few months. So, you can maybe make the argument that, that's kind of where we're at. This 90K low established, maybe similar to this 50K level where price was holding above it for many, many weeks. And then it strongly fell below. So if I were to look at something like a setup like that, then I would basically assume that this level relatively held, kind of this 76 level, and the 78. This is mostly the bottom, and then price, just does something like this over the next few whatever weeks or whatever, and then we have another move up. That would be similar to the price action that we saw back in June, July, August, June, July of 2021, where you found a relative bottom here and then you moved up. I think what many other people are more thinking is that we're going to kind of dip back in within this consolidation range here that we saw back in the summer, where we saw 55k to 75k was this chop range, and we're going to test some of that liquidity down there. And generally speaking, when you see a gap in price as well, you can look here on volume profile, here and here. These are high demand areas, high volume nodes, whatever you want to call them. These are areas that price likes to trade at. And generally speaking, these act as magnets because people think that these areas are fair value. People like trading in these areas. And you'll see sometimes when price moves strongly above, very strongly in a certain way, these are what's called inefficient moves. These are moves where there's more buyers and sellers, or alternatively, there's more sellers than buyers. It just happens when there's very strong moves in the market. You can see it right here, and then boom, strong move up. And generally, that's where you're going to see this volume profile gap, where there's not really much price traded within these areas. You can look more like auction market theory and like some of these other different things. You can look at, there's a lot of different ways in which you can visualize this on the chart. I'm just using price action and volume profile. But I've read a lot of this other stuff in the past. But generally speaking, when you see something like this where, chop, 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 move up, chop, 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 price will often want to fill this gap. And what I mean by fill is there's going to want to be some price action that happens in between. And usually in the way in which that happens is you'll see something like this. And then what will happen when you look at volume profile, as this price keeps going on, this is going to come back out. So that's kind of what the theory is now as to what would happen, in my opinion, is where you have this gap, price, blitz from this 55k to 75k area. This is this strong consolidation area that was strong base that we had in the summer. And then it blitzed all the way up to 100k. And then there was really no price action, there's no volume in between that area. And what would happen now is maybe we're just going to fill this area and then price will go back up. I actually think I don't actually think it's over personally. Even as shitty as this weekly chart is, I personally still think that there's hope. Now, mind you, it is a bearish chart for sure on the weekly. There's no denying that. You can't ever make any other arguments, in my opinion, that this is somewhat bullish or anything like that. I think that you should really just stay on guard and just know that it is a bearish chart, but that there is hope because I think macro will probably improve eventually. It's really horrible right now, but once there's some clarity in the macro markets, I think that that's going to help a lot. I'm not really a macro expert by any means, but basically, a lot of altcoins are also down 70 to 90%. So again, yeah, there's the time-based capitulation for a lot of them, still to come. I get that part. But if you look at some of these charts of these older shit coins too, some of them actually never moved, and maybe they'll never move ever. And I don't think that many of them will actually hit all-time highs either way, but I still feel like there's some juice left. Could be way off in that regard. But yeah, I guess let's just see. The weekly chart is bearish though. What would have me change my bias is if where's my chart? Okay, these are some notes that I wrote before. This is the range that we were working with back all throughout this recent consolidation since this November, December period, where I know it's a little bit messy as well, so sorry about that. This is a range, this is the range that we're working with. You could see highs, and you can see the range lows. This is that 90k region that I was talking about before on the weekly. And price is currently, chopping around. Looks like it might form some sort of short-term low. We're about to see if like it's going to reject from this 84K level, or more importantly, I think this 90K level is really the level to look for. Um, and if you want a little bit more, just like a cleaner chart, it would just be something like this, where here's this key low here, price is chopping around, and it really, I think it's going to break 84K. That's not super significant, but it's really going to be interesting to see if it can break this 89K level. If it pulls back, rejects, maybe has a shitty bounce, and then further down, it would just reconfirm this kind of bearish market structure that we're already seeing. And that bearish market structure is already lower highs and lower lows. That is already confirmed on the weekly chart, in my opinion. And I think it's just a bearish chart. What would have me change my bias is if we broke up to 89, 90K, chopped around, maybe slight pullback, and then we tested it again, and we start to trade cleanly within this range of 90 to 100K. I think at that point I would flip bias. I would assume that we are like back in acceptance within that range, and that this was a higher time frame low. Now, is this a low overall? I don't know. It's hard to say. It does look like it's forming some sort of short-term low. Usually you'll see a lot of volatility and, a lot of like price action like this on lows. And you can see it too, actually, in a lot of different charts. Back in August, again, this was kind of similar price action where you saw, like, usually you don't see this type of reversal, I'll say. You don't see this type of crazy V-shaped price action where you see huge drop, go all the way up. It's usually more like big liquidation event, some weak kind of V-shape, like midway through, like lower high, and then like something like this. It's much more common. Versus what we saw, like we don't really see price rebound that quickly all the way up to like 96K. Like that was pretty insane to me. But if you look at a lot of these other charts, high time frame bottoms actually take a long time. Now, I don't want to necessarily compare the structures to like back when price was at 27K or whatever. It's completely different. At 100K or 90K or wherever than now. But you can even see like lots of volatility back in this event back in May 2021, where price, had tons of spikes, tons of volatility, like lots of, crazy price action like this. And that's kind of like where I'm thinking we're at right now. And similar to back in 2021, you can't really argue that, like, again, you would have argued the same thing as now, is that, like, you would say, okay, this is like a bearish chart, right? Like, we're headed to like 20K or lower. These weekly closes were horrific. So, I guess I'm kind of hoping that this is somewhat like that 2021 area where we're just going to chop around. The relative bottom is in, and that, again, probably still more volatility to come. Maybe we test the 75K region. Maybe we test the 70K region. Maybe there's one last liquidation event, and then we close really strongly. Maybe this is like our next time period, chop around, and then we actually start to move in the summer. Entirely possible. I think the relative bottom is in, but again, the weekly chart looks like shit, and there's some clear levels to me as well. Like, if you start to close below this kind of 78K region, 76K region on higher time frames, you just pack it up for a while. Like 55 to 70K will have some support for sure, but yeah, in general, like, these are the two crucial areas in my opinion are 90K, I guess 89, 90K, and then the 77K area. But as far as like altcoins go, I think that altcoins will be okay as long as Bitcoin has found its relative bottom in the short term. But you need to also remember that altcoins are in a very dangerous, ugly, bearish market structure. The trend is still down. Any rally should probably be for shorting until the trend actually changes. But the bulk of the gains on the short side are probably not. It's easy to say that after like negative 90%, right? So, anyways, these are just some quick thoughts. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully I'll do more videos soon. Take care.